Call this special Board of Education meeting to order. It is 6:05. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kathy, can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Janitas? Mr. Peabody?
Yo.
Mrs. Ungary? Here. Mr. Warwer?
Here.
Mr. Grady?
Here.
Mrs. LeBlanc?
Here.
Mr. Neville?
Here.
Mrs. Thurston?
Here.
Chairman Sirard?
Here. We have matters related to personnel, so we need to go into executive session. Do I have a motion?
moved. Second.
A motion made by Mr. Grady, seconded by Mr. Neville. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now in executive session. Item number 6, action, if any, on the appointment for the elementary principal positions. Mr. Grady, do you have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we hire candidate A for one of the positions for the elementary principals.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Neville. Kathy, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Janitas?
I'll pass.
Mr. Peabody?
Yes.
Mrs. Ungary?
Yes.
Mr. Warwer?
Yes.
Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Mr. Neville?
Yes.
Mrs. Thurston?
Yes.
Chairman Sirard?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to hire candidate C for the elementary school principal.
Motion made by Mr. Grady, seconded by Vice Chairman Wallward. Kathy, may I have roll call, please? Or any discussion? Kathy, may I have roll call, please?
Mr. Janitas?
Yes.
Mr. Peabody?
Yes.
Mrs. Ungary?
Yes.
Mr. Warwer?
Yes.
Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Mr. Neville?
Yes.
Mrs. Thurston?
Yes.
Chairman Sirard?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all. Item number 7, approval of the Adult Education Program Improvement Project, PIP grants. Dr. Schumann, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kosha and Mr. Dresser are going to need to start contacting the candidates for this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your hard work today on that project. You have before you the opportunity to approve the grant for the adult ed program. There are 2 grants totaling $70,000, something the board has done in the past. So if it feels that it wants to continue along with these grants, we would need you to authorize me to sign the grants and go forward with the adult ed grants.
Do I have a motion to approve the application for the application of the Adult Education Improvement Project grants?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Thurston, seconded by Ms. LeBlanc. Any discussion?
I'm so proud.
Sensing none. Kathy, may I have roll call, please?
Mr. Janitas?
Yes.
Mr. Peabody?
Yes.
Mrs. Ungary?
Yes.
Mr. Warwer?
Yes.
Mr. Grady?
He's absent.
Mrs. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Mr. Neville?
Yes.
Mrs. Thurston?
Yes.
Chairman Sirard?
Yes. Motion passes. Dr. Schumann, you have permission.
Thank you.
Approval of the 2014 Lester J. Brody Memorial Scholarship recipients. Dr. Schumann, you continue to have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since 2004, the Enfield Board of Education has announced the recipients of the Lester J. Bodley Memorial Scholarships at a board meeting. They are awarded to a boy and a girl graduate from Enfield High School. The names were, and the information was in your packet. What we're looking for you to do today is approve that, and then do we bring the candidates here? No, they'll do it at the awards ceremony, which is tomorrow night, actually. So with your approval, they will go forward and present those awards tomorrow night.
Very good. Do I have a motion to approve the 2014 Lester J. Brody Memorial Scholarship recipients?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. LeBlanc, seconded by Mr. Neville. Any discussion? Sensing none, Kathy, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Janitas?
Yes.
Mr. Peabody?
Yes.
Mrs. Ungary?
Yes.
Mr. Warwer?
Yes.
Mr. Grady?
He is gone.
Ms. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Mr. Neville?
Yes.
Mrs. Thurston?
Yes.
Chairman Sirard?
Yes. Thank you. Item number 9, review the proposed changes to the education evaluation plan. Dr. Schumann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the classic, which is the cart and which is the horse. We don't know whether the cart is in front of the horse or the horse is in front of the cart. The reason for that is the educator evaluation system must be approved by the Board of Education. However, the Board of Education can only approve a plan which is approved by the State Board of Education. So you could approve a plan, we could send it down to the state, and they could reject it, in which case it would come back to you. Or we could send it down to the state, they could approve a plan and send it back to you, in which case you could reject it, and we'd send it back to them. So you can see we're gonna need both bodies to approve it, and the order is really hard to tell which one should be approved first. We have a plan which we drafted here in district, which the state approved last year, which you approved, and we've operated under this year. The state has changed some of the regulations. For instance, there are 4 real big changes. The rubric that we use to evaluate teaching had 5 domains, 27 indicators. It's gone to 4 domains, 23 indicators. So we've had to adapt our plan to accommodate that. That's a pretty straightforward change. The special area teachers that aren't covered by the standardized testing, for instance, art teachers and physical education teachers and special education teachers, we've had to design our own rubrics to evaluate those teachers. Our committee has done that. We're going to send those off to the state for their approval. We've designed them based on what the state has. The 2 pieces that are the state has endorsed this idea through the SEED committee is changing the observation structure. Right now, we do 1 formal with a tenured teacher. If the teacher is, there's 4 categories for rating, and the top 2 are exemplary and effective. If a teacher is in that category, what we're proposing, what the committee would like to propose, is that instead of doing 1 formal, they do 1 formal in 1 year with a pre and a post conference, but in the other years, they do 3 informals, 1 of which has to have a post conversation to talk about it. They felt that that would give a better snapshot and better one-on-one interaction between the evaluator and the teachers. And the committee has recommended that, and that's something some are doing that. And there's also the student learning objective, which is the SLO. And right now, our plan says we have, may have up to 4. They're gonna change the language to have it a minimum of 1, if you wanna put all your eggs in one basket, and with a minimum of 2 IAGDs, which are individual academic growth indicators, which is the metric that you evaluate the objective on. So some teachers will choose to have 2 with multiple metrics. The plan now says you have to have at least 1 and you have to have at least 2 metrics for that one. If you want to put all your eggs in that basket and base your whole 40% of your evaluation on that, that's fine, you can do it. Or if you want to have multiple ones, you can still have multiple ones. So those are the 4 major changes, aligned with some wording changes. And you got the document, you can see it there with the changes in red. We'd like to send that off as is to the state, see what they have to say about it. If they approve it, we'll bring it back to you. We suspect we'll get it back in time for you to vote on it and take another look at it at your August meeting. And so we're just wanting to let you know that you don't really have to do anything with it right now, because we feel that we should get the state approval before you decide if you want to make it your plan. Otherwise, you could make it your plan, then if the state didn't approve it, we'd be right back here.
Mr.
So that was that 123-page thing?
Yes.
This is on TV, I hope you all get to read it.
Any
Or
further
try to read it.
comments?
No, I'm not done yet. So, what we're down to is 1 formal observation, that you said for step.
1 year.
The top
If you're
2
an
tiers.
effective tenured teacher.
The top 2 tiers.
Correct.
That. And then 3 informals in the off years.
In the off years, with 1 post-conference after 1 of them.
Okay. The 3rd tier, or what is it? What are they calling that?
Effective.
Just effective?
Yeah.
Which is still good enough?
Yeah, if you look at the back of it, you get that cross matrix, and you get a score on one side, a score on the other. As you go across the matrix, it lets you know what rating you get. So yeah, if you're in the effective or the exemplary, they felt that was good enough to change to the informals in the off years.
Do you have, well, I thought you had to do, if you were on the bottom 2 tiers, you had to get a formal again.
If you're not in the top 2 tiers, then you stay with the formal observation process, yes.
Is that what most systems around are doing, or what do we know?
This is the new state guidelines.
So the state is saying if you're
The state is
effective, you
saying-
get a formal again.
The state is saying 1 formal in one year and 3 informals in the 2 off years. That's what the state, that's part of the state flexibility plan.
Okay.
So it's not all formal observations.
Mr. Chairman? Do we need a vote on this tonight?
You really don't,
Or just consensus?
I just want to make you aware of it, because I'm going to bring you a finalized plan for your approval.
I think this is more just informational, so we can talk about it amongst ourselves, make sure the public understands.
But I also wanted you to know that if you were to say to me, no way, we want to approve our plan first, we want to be the horse and let the state be the cart, then you could have done that. I don't know that that would be any benefit to us, but I think you should know you have the right to do that.
When is it approved by September 1st, is that what it is?
You have to approve it before the school year starts. You have a meeting in August before that.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Okay.
Very good. Item number 10, continue the fiscal year 2014-2015 budget discussion and action, if any.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Not yet.
Dr. Schuman, please.
Yes, the board has in their packet this document that really will help us get to our final reconciliation of our budget. At the top of it are the lenses that we use, the board priorities and the district goals. And so any decision we make regarding the action of the district is done through those lenses. And our two major challenges, we have to reconcile the board's request to the town council's allocation, and currently that gap is $1,061,436. And the second challenge that the board has, and has been wrestling with the budget, because we know this is a financial impact as well, is to fully implement the educator evaluation system. This year we have a partial implementation, half of our district is on it. Next year we'll have to fully implement it, which means we have another 200 plus educators coming into the system. We had originally talked in the original budget proposal of putting assistant principals in, and that was costly. It was a good idea, but the board chose to go in a different direction, and that was a wise choice. The cost was close to $800,000, but we still have to implement that plan. So we're going to need to figure out how to close this gap and how to fully implement the plan. And so this document will just guide us in that direction as we start to make those decisions down the road.
Okay, Vice Chairman Wong?
I'd like to make a motion to table item 10 and to call for a special meeting on Tuesday, June 3rd,
Second.
for a budget, special meeting to discuss budget.
Second. Any discussion? Sensing none.
Just one thing, prior to that meeting, if the superintendent could put together some figures for us and get it to us to look at in anticipation of a healthy discussion on Tuesday night.
Very good. I agree with everyone who's brought forward the idea if we table this. I think it's good to have more information in front of us so that we can have that frank discussion.
Also, I think it's very important that both the chair and the central office sit down, because we've got to get this thing completed. There's people's careers hanging out there. So please don't come back with just something that we possibly can't act on at the next meeting. This has got to get done.
This will get done. Any other discussion? Just by show of hands, those who approve of tabling this until next Tuesday?
No.
Board member comments, item number 11. Mr. Janitis, do you have any?
I would like to say, I ran into somebody the other day when I was out getting my wife flowers. And he was telling me about I'm sure everybody has a vague memory of that little ordeal that we had with the having graduation at the cathedral and the ACLU and all that stuff. And he was telling me that case that was quite similar to ours was the Seventh Circuit turned it down quite convincingly, I guess. So apparently we made the right decision. And as far as Suffield VOAG, we're still locked into the number that we have, that we're allotting, because it costs, what, $4,000 more? Is that what it is?
The cost for each student in Suffield VOAG is $8,400 this year. The legislation, we've got a legal opinion now on the board's obligation for that. If you have a standing agreement, you must follow your standing agreement.
Okay.
The obligation that the board had, which was a standing agreement with the Suffield Board of Education, expired many years ago. So we are not under a binding agreement. Absent a binding agreement, the board must maintain the same number of offerings as the average of the past 3 years in total and at grade level for incoming new offerings. So, as a result, the board would have to offer the same number of offerings, which is approximately 30-something students, and the board would have to offer 7 or 8 new seats for next year. Currently, 15 students, my understanding, 15 students have asked to go to Suffield VOAG. The board is obligated to offer a minimum of 7 seats.
So anything above and beyond that, it's costing us approximately $8,400 more.
Every seat the board offers
Okay.
costs $8,400.
So it becomes really a thing of finances again.
It can be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm only asking this because I've been getting several
Right.
emails.
Yeah.
Yes.
we all have.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Peabody?
Yeah, just one positive note in these dark budget times. Last Friday, I had the opportunity to go over to Prudence Crandall to participate in the One Book, One School program. And the author of this book, the one and only Ivan, Newbery Award-winning book, Catherine Applegate was there, and quite a presentation. They had a couple different showings of the various events creating the book. But the bottom line is, what I wanted to do, I just wanted to give kudos and applause out to the reading teachers who put together the program and also provided a lunch session at their own expense, not the school's expense, but their own expense. And they had students get up and read persuasive essays. These are fifth grade students, and they're quite well done. And I just wanted to give that shout out to everyone over there, especially to Elizabeth Patria, who is the mentor, guiding person, and leader of the reading department. Well done, everybody. And that's it.
Ms. Angire?
I attended the Lego fair that they had over at Eli Whitney, and I just really enjoyed it. I got to talk to a lot of the students, and they would explain to me how they read a book and then created a scene out of the book, out of Legos. It was just really a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Vice Chairman Walton?
I want to thank Kathy Zolke for putting up with us for many hours tonight, and to the superintendent and deputy superintendent for their yeoman work in getting us through this evening's discussion. Thank you, guys, and ladies.
Ms. LeBlanc?
I was able to march in the parade this year on Sunday. That was the first time I had ever marched in the parade, and it was well attended and a lot of fun. I got to meet with several elected officials, and with Joel Kravitz, we had a bunch of selfies down the parade route. We were photobombed by Councilman Bill Lee and Board of Ed member Ray Peabody. We even got a selfie with Lieutenant Governor Nancy Wyman, so that was pretty funny. Everybody's on Facebook taking part in the Cold Water Challenge for the fallen firefighters. So Stacy challenged me, I took the challenge, I challenged Vinny, and for the record, his water was not as cold as my water. Yes.
So Vinny took the warm water challenge.
Yes. And lastly, and I feel like I need to say this, I went to the town council meeting last Monday night and watched the vote on the budget. And we have a responsibility to be very wise with spending the taxpayers' money. So when I listen to people say that our budget is getting voted down because it was against town charter, or it was because it was offered up in an amendment, or because the administration mismanages funds, I have a hard time swallowing that, because what you should say is that our budget's going to be a burden on the taxpayers. And when our budget could pass and still be a tax decrease for the taxpayers, the kids and the families are the ones that pay. And there's a lot of half-truths, and I'm here all the time to answer any questions, and I'm very disappointed. That's it.
Mr. Neville?
I guess I have to ditto Mrs. LeBlanc's comments about the budget. I think disappointed is probably the wrong word. But certainly, I take it personal if somebody says that we mismanaged the budget. And I don't think anybody here, I feel very confident the people at this table that we have met our fiduciary responsibility to deal with the budget. And I was very, very upset about that particular comment. I think there was some misunderstanding as to what the facts are here. I think the budget we had was a reasonable one, and I think there was a true consensus here. We all kind of compromised to get to where we were, and I think there was a way to get there without a budget increase. I mean, a tax increase, excuse me. And for whatever reason, it didn't happen, so I'm disappointed. We will continue, I know, to meet our fiduciary responsibilities here and do the best job we can, but it is an issue of money. And the amount of money that the superintendent just laid out to us, over $1 million, is something that, is going to hit all of us as we go and deal with programs or staff that we feel very, very strongly about. To the folks who have been writing all of us about the VOAG, I've tried to respond to just about everybody, and I can't complain about their reasons or the rationales that they've given about their students and about the program. But as I think it was Peter who just said, it comes down to a matter of dollars and cents, and we can't add money into this budget if we're going to have to cut $1 million. We have to sit down and look at the whole budget before we talk about those things. And I have a hard time seeing where there'd be additional funds there, personally, from my look at the budget. But I think we have a big job ahead of us, and I think we need to be very, very deliberate and direct in our conversations, and to try to get the best for our students. And that's the reason we're here, and that's why we get elected. Thank you.
Ms. Thurston?
Again, I have to agree with what Mr. Neville and what Tina said. I was with Tina at the meeting, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but sitting there, to me, it showed that education in Enfield for some people is not a priority. And that was hard. Like Tina said, that's hard to swallow. The 9 of us are here. We work very hard for the students, for the teachers. And to have comments made that were made, it was just inappropriate, and it was uncalled for. We work very hard. We've tried to reach across to work with the town council. I'm not going to say it is what it is, because it's very discouraging. On a happy note, my little guys at Head Start on Thursday will be doing their version of Field Day. So hopefully I can get over there and see them. And they are going to be getting their certificates, I believe, starting next week. I think that's like their version of graduation. So on a happy note, I'll get over there and see my little guys.
Well, as Ms. LeBlanc said, I too marched in the parade. I wasn't with the public officials. I was marching with my sons in their Polari's outfits. I was marching with their dojo. No, those were my sons, and the martial arts kids were not my bodyguards. So I have heard the comment that I now have bodyguards. So no, it was my sons. I was marching with my sons. There's a lot of rumor, there's a lot of innuendo, there's a lot of negative talk about what's happening with the budget. And there was some comments that were made that were so loosely worded they could be interpreted either way. I've always said it, this isn't supposed to be a town council board of ed thing. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. The numbers that we requested were very, very hard worked on. As you said, we've come together as a unit on the Board of Ed and pretty much put our team hats aside and our Board of Ed hats and left them on for the most part. And we've been working really hard at that. Any misunderstanding about malfeasance, which is the word that I've heard mentioned a few times, is just that. It's inappropriate and it's not factual, and it could be very much just a misunderstanding. $1 million is hard to make up. $1 million is very hard to make up, and we'll discuss that on June 3rd. So I have nothing else to add. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Made by Ms. Thurston.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Warr. All those in favor?
Aye.
We stand in adjournment.